I was 12 when I first understood what it meant to be invisible. Our suburban home in the Midwest, with its peeling paint and cluttered kitchen, was a stage where my siblings, Ethan and Sophie, shone like stars, while I lingered in the wings, unseen. My older brother Ethan, 16, was the golden boy. Every touchdown he scored in football earned him a hero's welcome at dinner. Sophie, 14, charmed everyone with her sketches, her art awards pinned proudly on the fridge. And me, Caleb, the quiet kid with messy handwriting and a stutter when nervous, I was the afterthought. That night at dinner, I remember clutching my science project grade, a hard-earned B+, and mumbling about it. Mom, Linda, barely looked up from praising Ethan's upcoming game. "That's nice, honey," she said, her voice flat, "but let's focus on tomorrow." Dad, Greg, didn't even nod. I shrank into my chair, the weight of their indifference heavier than any failing grade. Days turned to weeks, and the pattern etched itself into my soul. I'd watch from the sidelines at Ethan's games, not even in the family photos Mom snapped. At Sophie's recitals, I'd sit in the back, forgotten. Once, I spilled juice on the carpet, barely a stain, and got a lecture about carelessness, while Ethan's broken window from a wild throw was laughed off as boys being boys. I overheard Mom one night, her voice low but sharp through the thin walls. "He's just not like the others, Greg. I don't know what to do with him." My chest burned, but I didn't cry. Instead, I escaped to my room, tinkering with old radios and circuit boards I'd scavenged. It was the only place I felt I mattered. My neighbor, Mr. Dawson, a gruff old man with kind eyes, saw something in me. "One day, kid," he'd say, watching me solder wires, "you'll build something the world can't ignore." I clung to those words like a lifeline. By 18, I graduated high school, a quiet affair with no family cheering in the stands. Mom and Dad were too busy with Ethan's college football scholarship and Sophie's budding design career to notice. I packed a duffel bag and left for Silicon Valley, fueled by little more than spite and a dream to prove them wrong. The early years were brutal. Rejections from tech startups, nights sleeping on friends' couches, and endless shifts at dead-end jobs to buy parts for my experiments. Every "you're not good enough" from my parents echoed in my head, pushing me harder. I remembered Mom's dismissive sighs, Dad's cold silences, and turned them into fuel. I was 25 when everything changed. Inspired by my own struggles with dyslexia, I created an app, a learning tool that made reading and comprehension accessible for kids like me. I poured every ounce of pain and persistence into it, and overnight, it exploded. Downloads soared, investors called, and suddenly I was a millionaire. Headlines dubbed me the underdog tech genius. I bought a sleek apartment overlooking San Francisco, but the view couldn't erase the ache. I'd watch old family videos alone, seeing myself in the background, ignored, and my jaw would clench. Meanwhile, I learned Ethan's football dreams had crashed with an injury. He was stuck selling insurance, bitter and broke. Sophie's design career floundered, her talent overshadowed by newer faces. Mom and Dad, I heard, were drowning in debt after betting everything on Ethan's failed ventures. They knew of my success. Everyone did, but they never reached out. Pride, or maybe shame, kept them silent. I didn't care, or so I told myself. At a tech conference, accepting an award to thunderous applause, I scanned the crowd for a familiar face and found none. "They'll see me now," I whispered, a promise to the boy who'd been invisible. At 30, I decided it was time to go back. I orchestrated a family reunion in our old hometown, funding every detail with the wealth they'd never dreamed I'd have. I pulled up to the house in a black luxury car, stepping out in a tailored suit, and saw their jaws drop. Mom's eyes widened, her hands fidgeting as she stammered, "Caleb, you've done so well." Dad forced a smile, mumbling about past misunderstandings. Ethan's glare burned with envy, and Sophie's fake cheer couldn't hide her resentment. I played the gracious son, hosting a lavish dinner in the home I'd paid to renovate. I gifted Ethan a job at my company, a low-level role, just enough to sting. Sophie got a design contract, but under my strict oversight. For Mom and Dad, I offered to clear their debts, but with a catch. They had to sign a contract admitting their neglect a public humiliation I'd crafted with cold precision. The tension boiled over that night. Ethan slammed his fist on the table, snarling, "You're just buying our love, aren't you?" Sophie stormed out, unable to stomach her diminished place. Mom broke down, tears streaming as she admitted they'd been wrong to favor the others, whispering, "We failed you, Caleb." Dad, stubborn as ever, grunted, "We did our best. You were always difficult." Something snapped in me. I stood, voice steady but raw, and laid bare every scar they'd left. The forgotten birthdays, the harsh words, the nights I cried alone. "You didn't just fail me," I said. "You erased me." The room fell silent, their guilt a mirror they couldn't escape. The next day, I walked with Mr. Dawson in the park near our old street. He was frail now, leaning on a cane, but his words still carried weight. "Revenge feels good for a moment, Caleb," he said, "but forgiveness lasts a lifetime. Don't let their mistakes define you." I stared at the unsigned contract in my hands, wrestling with his advice. A memory flickered, Dad teaching me to ride a bike, a rare moment of warmth before favoritism took hold. Did I want to be the man who crushed them, or the one who rose above? At our final meeting, I tore up the contract in front of them. "I don't need your apology on paper," I told them, my voice quieter now. "I needed it when I was a kid, and it's too late for that. But I'm not you. I won't hold on to hate." I kept the job offers for Ethan and Sophie, not as power plays, but as real help, and set up a small trust for Mom and Dad's retirement, no strings attached. But I drew a line. I wouldn't stay in their lives. I'd built my own family with friends, with mentors like Mr. Dawson, people who saw me when I was nothing. Months later, I stood on a stage at a product launch, dedicating it to those who felt invisible but kept going. The crowd roared, and for the first time, I felt peace. I'd risen above the pain, not because of them, but despite them. Somewhere, I knew Mom and Dad were watching the live stream, their faces a mix of regret and awe. They'd lost the child they never truly saw, and that was a reckoning heavier than any revenge I could have taken.